In today's video, we're going to be looking at the most brutal VR games that exist in virtual reality as of right now across all platforms. We're going to be ranking our way all the way from 10 to 1, 1 being the most brutal game that is in virtual reality, so keep an eye out at the end. But before we dive into the video, please do smash that like button and subscribe, as it does massively help this channel out, and I appreciate each and every one of you to take the time out of your day to make that happen for me. Thank you very much. Other than that though, let's dive into our very first game on this list, and that is Boneworks. Now Boneworks is actually a fairly brutal game when you break it down. If you go into the sandbox mode itself, you can get fairly brutal fairly quickly inside of this with a selection of different weapons, and that's really where the brutality side of this game actually comes in. Now I have spent my fair share of time in Boneworks sandbox just getting friggin' crazy, and of course on top of that, if you actually mod this game out, it can get even more unhinged. Now this really does go for both Boneworks and Bone Lab, but today we're just going to hyper focus on Boneworks because it's one I've personally spent the most time in just really venting and, you know, getting kind of flipping brutal. And of course the word of today's video is going to be brutal. It's the one I'm going to say the most because, well, it's what the video is about, and of course we're going to be referencing that as we go through this. The reason though that Boneworks sits at number 10 is really because of the fact that in the in-game built-in stuff there is no dismemberment, and it's really kind of a low level of gore when it comes down to things, so it's fairly soft when it comes to things. Next up we have Gunman contracts. Now this is originally a mod for Half-Life Alyx, which you can go and experience right now for free if you own Half-Life Alyx anyway, so I highly recommend that you go do that anyway because it's a really good game. But not only that, this is also being made into its own independent game that's going to be coming out across this year, so make sure you keep an eye out for Gunman contracts. In its current state, the reason it makes number 9 is really it's only about the bullet violence that's in this game, but nonetheless it does feel absolutely brutal. You can do some insane takedowns if you go through these levels, and it just makes you feel like actual John Wick going in and experiencing this for what it is. Like I say, right now these are free mods that you can just go and experience right there, super easy to access. If you're in a Half-Life Alyx already, then this is definitively something you need to check out if you want to feel like John Wick in VR and do some of that gun jitsu and knock some people out. And coming in at number 8, we have Blade and Sorcery. Now, of course, everyone knows Blade and Sorcery by this point. This is the ultimate sandbox game where you can get in there and just be the most destructive human being you can possibly be. But of course, it comes with its limitations, and really the gore system in this is fairly limited when you really think about it, although it has a lot of really cool physics interactions that you can get into whilst in this game. Now, I personally love this one because, you know, you can just get in there and absolutely lose yourself to the fantasy of sort of, you know, the power fantasy at the end of the day. Not only that, but of course this is fully moddable, and you can make this game ridiculous if you really want to and you want to put the time into the mods. Of course this is available as Blade and Sorcery Nomad as well on the Quest platform, so if you're a Quest user, you don't feel left out, they have an option for you as well. And also I think you can even mod in Nomad these days pretty easily. So yeah, definitely one to check out if you just want somewhere to vent and blow off some steam for a little bit, then Blade and Sorcery is definitely the answer for that. Coming in at number 7, we have Swordsman VR. This is where we start to step up on the gore front just a little bit. This is a realistic sword fighter at heart, but it really has some pretty gnarly gore physics in there as well, from head dismemberment and various other limbs that get chopped off throughout this, which are kind of gross, especially if you do them in slow motion. They are absolutely freaking gnarly. Not only that, but of course you have some other stuff in there as well where you can like grab them by the head, snap their necks, choke them out. You know, there's a fair few options to get fairly brutal within this game. So this one is definitely baked more in the realistic combat side of things, so it's even more rewarding in my opinion once you get those dismemberments and kills and different ways, because you feel rewarded for the fact that you're actually a dope swordsman. So definitely one to check out if you're looking for something that's just got a bit more realistic physics to it and a little bit more realism to the sword fighting. In at number 6, we have Hellsweeper VR. Now this one, again, the dismemberment just gets silly. You can have a lot of fun in this game dismembering stuff and just getting insane. Of course the base game itself as well, you can go in there with some friends, so if you want to get brutal with a bunch of friends, then this one has that advantage over the other games that we've spoken about so far, because you can actually go in and experience this with I think up to 4 players. So this is definitely one to be checking out if you just want to get really friggin' brutal with people. Not only that though, of course the base game itself is a really solid kind of roguelike-esque kind of game where you're going to go in there, destroy a bunch of demon creatures and of course have some sort of like Dark Souls-esque fights with giant bosses throughout this. It's a fairly gruesome game by its own nature. Coming in at number 5, we have Paint the Town Red. Now honestly, this game would probably rank a little bit higher in this list if it wasn't for the fact that it's that sort of pixelated voxel style game, but nonetheless this game is ultra ultra violent when it comes down to what you can get up to in this. You can literally pulp people down to their raw skeleton if you really want to, but there is a ton of weapon variation in this, as well as just honestly getting the most gritty violent that you can in a game without it being just too gnarly, because at the end of the day the stylization of this game actually kind of restricts it slightly and keeps it into a place where it's just feels a little less gross to play and a little bit more sort of like just unleashing the demon and going absolutely crazy inside of this game. Very, very cool. There's a ton of different levels, a ton to get up to inside of this game as well. So not only is it like a really fun brutal game, but on top of that it's actually got a really fun game modes going throughout the entire thing as well, which will keep you entertained for a long time. Coming in at number 4 is another game that everybody knows by now, I'm sure, and that is GORN. Now, in GORN, you have both a sandbox mode and you have a full-on campaign as well, which I really respect about this game because it gives you a ton to do inside of it. Now, again, this would probably rank even higher up on this list if it wasn't for the fact that it's got this cartoony style, which, you know, restricts and holds it back in its violence just a little bit, but I do mean just a little bit, because you can quite literally punch someone so hard in the face that their eyeballs will pop out inside of this game. So it really does tick all those boxes when it comes to the brutal side of things that we're looking for in a games list like this. And on top of that, of course, you know, full dismemberment throughout, an insane weapon selection, and of course a ton of the red sauce are going everywhere. So this game really does have it all. Unfortunately, I can't show you just how extreme all of these games are in these trailers, because frankly I would like this video to remain on YouTube. So respect the fact that I've had to edit around a lot of this footage to make it possible to be on YouTube. So just know that when you go into there, it's going to be way more extreme than you're seeing in any of the videos that I can play you inside of this video. In at number 3, we have Hard Bullet, and this is one of my personal favorite games that I actually genuinely love. I covered a ton on this channel back in the day when it first came out. Again, it's just sandbox mode and an absolute wild shootout mode that you can go in and play in this. But this is where things really start to step up a notch in my opinion, because we're starting to get more into sort of like this realism sort of type gore, and not only that, it is extremely extreme. Like if you go into what they call like the torture rooms, oh my, you can use a sandpaper machine to your own imagination. You can use drills and all sorts of other horrible devices like meat grinders. I'm sure your imagination is going where it should be at this point. Coming in at number 2, we have Hellsplit Arena. Now, oh my gosh, this game is just unhinged when it comes to the level of, you know, gore and brutality that you can do inside of this game. Now, of course, again, this one has 2 different modes in it. You have both the sandbox and, of course, a full campaign. I love both modes in this game. I've done the campaign multiple times, and I've, of course, spent way too much time in the sandbox inside of this. It is a absolutely stunning game on PCVR, and it's coming to Quest very soon. Reasons that this is extreme. Let's just tick off a couple of things that we haven't spoken about for the rest of this video, because they are only available inside of this game. You can quite literally punch someone so hard in the chest that you can rip their heart out and then eat it. You can grab someone by the head so hard that you can dismember their head and have a bit of spine left on there. Very Mortal Kombat-esque, let's say. Yeah, I'm trying to dodge around some of the words, but I think you know what I mean when I say this game is extreme. The way that you can dismember in this game is ultra violent and honestly fairly unique to this game and the style that this game has. So definitely want to check out. Very, very cool. If you haven't played it already, I really recommend that you get into this if you're looking for that style of game. Coming in at number 1, we have the most ultra realistic, ultra gory, ultra brutal, and probably just genuinely a game that will make most people feel a little bit off about themselves. And that, my friends, is Blood Trail VR. Now, oh my god, this game is extreme. So extreme, in fact, I can barely show you footage of this game because it will just straight up get my channel in trouble, and I don't really want that. But if you want to check this game out, you definitely should, because it has the most ultra realistic system in place to basically make it as one-for-one as real life kind of is. We're talking about all types of slashes with things. You can cut stuff, you can dismember stuff, you can blow stuff up, you can use a various different assortment of weapons to do some insanely graphically horrific stuff to people. This one is designed from the bone layer outward, so you really have all those different layers of the human body to play with, which is a horrific sentence that I don't think I ever want to say again. Other than that, guys, that is going to be today's video. We have just ranked the top 10 most brutal games that exist in virtual reality. Each and every one of them is really fun in their own right. Outside of just the brutality levels, of course, that are in these games, there is a ton of fun to be had in them, even if you don't want to go full psycho mode. So if you enjoyed this video, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace out. Goodbye.